the the information that these two children provided was like way more than enough for the authorities over there just to do something. I mean, they could have easily just checked all this stuff out and shut us down, but they refused to check it out. So, it made us even more suspicious.
Now their testimony is free, is open to post, correct?
It's I didn't leak it, somebody else did. I use it all the time personally. Yeah, I mean, there's no copyright on it. Now, it may not it might sometimes it gets censored over in the UK. They won't allow anybody to see it.
Yeah,
So,
I guess. Well, let me introduce you. This is Tom Dunn. He and Jared Cressman. They work with Russ, and he'll give his story. And I wanted him to come on to Steve's channel today. And this is Rhonda from Liberty Bell News. I wanted him to come, and I'm just so enraged and angered, and have been for the last few years since I heard from these little children and what happened to them. And I'd like us all, or whoever watches this video, to somehow help Tom, and he could explain what we can do, whether we write letters or make phone calls or just post about it. So Tom, take it away. You have you do what you want. You go where you.
okay, well, Rhonda, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate this so much. This case that you're referring to is called the Hampstead case, and anybody that looks into it, they get real frustrated about the circumstances, about the abuse and what happened. So basically, people there have seen the picture of Elisa and Gabriel, and that picture is a still from one of their disclosures or their testimonies. And I'll try to give a synopsis of what happened. So, I'm sorry.
No, that was me. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So what happened was, these two children were in the care of their mother, Ella Draper, and the mother noticed that these kids were acting out in different ways, uh, acting out sexually, just behavior that indicated something was wrong, but she didn't know what was wrong. She thought, what am I doing wrong? Am I a bad mom or what? These kids are just having issues. And once they were on vacation with their mother, and they felt safe enough to disclose what was happening to them, and they gave a testimony that they were being ritually abused. And they told, people who have watched my show, have seen me kind of go down this list of what they disclosed. They told, what was happening. They told where it was happening. They said, who was doing it. They said how they were doing it. They said how they were getting away with it. And they were giving all of these details. They gave the details of what these people looked like, distinguishing marks like moles and tattoos in their bikini area. Okay, things that these kids should not know. Okay, and they gave just horrific detail of how they were sexually abused, and again, when it happened, what day of the week it happened, how they got away with it, all of these details. So the mother thought, wow, this is crazy, something needs to be done about this. Obviously she was horrified. So she was on vacation with her and her boyfriend, and she said, I'm going to go back to London, and we're going to turn these guys in and catch these guys. She thought, this is open and shut case. They went back to London, and the kids began to give along the way. The parents, or the mother and the boyfriend, asked them to give testimony what happened to them. And all of these videos are up online. Somebody leaked all these videos. So they went back to the London Police Department, and then the detective there also did interviews with the children, and somebody leaked those videos up online. They said the exact same thing in front of the police officers. They said in front of the mother. So, long story short, the kids got a medical exam. The doctor said these kids have been abused, and not just once. It's been ongoing sexual abuse. Okay. The justice took a look at this evidence. The kids indicated that their father was involved in this case. The justice or the judge there took a look at the evidence, and again, long story short, uh, the justice decided that the mother had coached these children into making these accusations over a custody dispute. Okay. Well, the mother had full custody of the children. She was never in danger of losing custody of the children. So there was just so many things that weren't true. But they tried to arrest the mother. She fled, and what she thought was going to be an open and shut case turned into a nightmare because they took her children away from her. I've heard this story from so many people, from so many mothers, lost custody over their children in similar situations. So then the judge put a gag order on the case and said nobody's allowed to talk about this, nobody's allowed to mention these kids' names. And
Yeah,
you
go
know
pound sand. We're going to talk about them today.
Yeah. And well, in the UK, and what has happened is anybody that's tried to raise awareness or to shine a light, on this case has gotten in trouble in the UK. So one of the most recent ones was January 9th of this year. Sabine McNeil got sentenced to 9 years in prison, 74-year-old pensioner who was just saying, hey, listen to these testimonies. These kids are telling the truth. She went to prison for 9 years for doing exactly what I'm doing. So these kids named teachers, they named parents, again, locations, a ton of evidence for police officers to go in and to investigate. Okay. Uh, well, there was a fact-finding mission. Okay. Is what they said. That's what they called it. And they said they couldn't find any information. So when the listeners of this show here today, if they were to go and they were to look at the testimonies of Elisa and Gabriel, what they would see is kids describing the best way they can in their own words from a child's point of view, right? What happened to them. A lot of these things, they don't know what to say. They don't know how to describe it. I want to be careful. I mean, it's sick stuff, it really is. And even from the point of view of a kid describing how they've been abused. The mother got out of the country because they were trying to arrest her, and she figured, you know what, I can help my kids more if I'm not in jail. So they accused her of coaching these kids to say these horrible things. Well, again, Rhonda, I would say watch the video and you make your own decision if these kids are coached. Okay.
Now the boyfriend was the one questioning them.
Yes, you can hear his voice.
He was just asking them questions.
His voice. Yeah.
I did see the interviews with the psychiatrist and the detective in the room, and it's just, oh my, what can we do?
Well, you know what?
Can we start
one thing, there's a few things that we can do, okay? Because obviously we can raise awareness about this. I believe that because there's a gag order and they've silenced this story and done a media blackout on this story in the UK, if the people truly knew the truth about what happened over there, then there would just be outrage in the streets, right?
Well, it makes you wonder whether the judge was involved.
It does make you wonder that, or it makes you wonder if the judge was paid off. So when you watch the police officer interview the children, it almost seems like he is trying to talk them out of the testimony that they're giving. And ultimately he did, because there's hours of testimony of the horrific things that happened to them. And then there's a very brief recant where the kids recant, and you can tell they don't want to recant the things he got them to say after they had been in police custody, for a while. He talked them basically into admitting that these things weren't true. Even though there was a medical report that said these kids have been abused.
That is right. You can't fake that, Yeah. Why can't we start a petition, a White House petition to investigate, or is there to investigate the littles?
You know what? I don't know if there's one out there, but there's a lot of things like that we can do. Obviously, as believers in Christ, we can pray, we can ask, God to move. What happened recently, Jeffrey Epstein gives us hope, right? Because here's a situation where we thought the case was closed, and this guy got a slap on the wrist. He basically got away with horrific crimes against young girls, and now we see he's been arrested again, and he's going to face charges again. And just today we got the news that he was denied bail. So we're hoping that justice will be done on behalf of these young women that he's abused. Even though they closed the book in Florida, now there's another chance in New York. So we want to say, hey, this is happening. This did happen, and the perpetrators got away with this. They went into hiding. They didn't even try to defend themselves at all. They didn't even come out and say, hey, these horrific allegations have been made against me. I just want to let you know that I went to a doctor, and my doctor signed this paper to say I don't have any of these distinguishing marks on my body. They didn't do any of that stuff, any of the normal things that you would do if you were innocent.
Right.
They didn't even come out and say, hey, I deny these charges. These things didn't happen. They didn't do any of that stuff. The father, of course, did an interview with the BBC, which is a joke. They threw him softball questions, and they made him look like the victim. I mean, the thing is ridiculous. You can find that out there. His name is Ricky Dearman. And they had dramatic lighting, and of course he was emotional, but he didn't shed a tear. He cried without shedding a tear, if you can understand that.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was just really, really ridiculous. I'm just really scratching the surface of the details of this case, but the reason, and I want to get back to what you were saying, what we can do stuff. We're screaming about this because we don't want it to happen again. Okay. And we're screaming about this because we still want justice in this case. Okay. In 1989, early 90s in Belgium, there was a similar case where Marc Dutroux got a slap on the wrist, and the people, almost 300,000 people, took to the streets and demanded justice. And I think that's what they were trying to avoid here, because if the citizens of the UK knew the truth about this case, I think they would take to the streets and demand justice. And that's what they were trying to, cut off at the pass. So, Rhonda, there are so many cases like this in the United States, really in the UK, all around the Western world, where these things happen. But we don't always get the video leaked to the press. Okay. Usually when kids give a testimony like this, it's behind closed doors to a counselor, to a therapist of some kind. And counselors across the United States and around the world know about these testimonies. They've seen testimonies just like these. So the UK is not the only place that it happens. We say London has a secret.com. That's our website. We're trying to raise awareness on this case, but we're trying to raise awareness globally. So yes, petitions, we're all for that. I don't know if there's been any started. Our campaign has been to raise awareness. Okay?
Now, weren't you visited by the Men in Black?
Yeah, I was. The FBI showed up at my house, and just to do a threat assessment. The same officer that you can see in that video interviewing the children called the FBI on me, and if they could have caught me when I was in the UK, they would have arrested me. I have no doubt. They're not happy at all with my campaign, what I'm saying, what I'm doing. Obviously in America, I have freedom of speech, free, right to
5 more minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, well, and I'm able to say these things, so they can't stop me from doing that over here. People get silenced in America. We know that. But people are getting thrown in jail over there. So again, January 9th, somebody went to jail for doing exactly what I'm doing in the UK. So we're trying to say, hey, we support, our brothers and sisters over in the UK that are desperately trying to get the word out about this. They're going to jail. So there's a blackout on this. Anything in the media about this case is about how horrible the people are who are trying to say that these things are true. Okay. That's the only thing covered in the media concerning the Hampstead case. So we are just desperately trying to break through that wall of silence that whether it be the media or the government or whatever through the UK, are, you know, anything about this case, the people of the UK cannot watch these videos. They block them, and they have to find a way around the firewall, so to speak, in order to watch even the testimony of the children. So, you know, they're trying to stop the public from finding out about this. And people from the UK contact us and they say, Tom, you're right. The general public doesn't know the truth about this case. So there is an active cover up going on. There's a group of people, okay, who are actively covering up this case and trying to silence us and trying to do whatever they can to discredit us. They don't really have a lot, you know, that they can use. They call us names, things like that, and just, you know, whatever. It's ad hominem attacks. It's not really. I consider it a joke personally. You know, they don't have very much of a following. They don't have very much power, but they are passionate about discrediting me, about having me thrown in jail, about having the FBI called on me. That's what I was trying to tell you about a minute ago. So the DC Detective Constable Steve Martin called the FBI on me and said that I was a threat, which, you know, it's illegal to make a false accusation. And you know, the men in black came to my house, so to speak, and they said, hey, we've been watching your channel. We don't think you're dangerous, but don't make us regret it. So if there's nothing to this case, why all the cover up? Why all the resistance? Why, you know, calling the FBI on me? Why have Sabine McNeil thrown in jail? Why the threats against other people who are trying to expose this? Why? I say there's a cover up going on, and I say they're scared to death of the truth getting out.
Wow. So this Sabine McNeil, she violated the gag order and got 9 years for that?
Yes, yes. You know, and I don't know all the details of the trial. They basically said that she was stalking, that she was harassing people, and the whole thing was ridiculous. I'll give an example of something that they used. I was going to go cover this story for my film a couple years ago. I made a film called Detestable, which is about satanic ritual abuse. I'm a filmmaker, and I was going to go over there and cover this for that film. And I prayed and prayed about it, and I just decided that I didn't know anybody on the ground, and it wouldn't be safe for me. Well, around that same time, there was a guy who was a journalist who went over there, and he ended up getting his passport taken away and spending about 6 months in jail over there. And he said, this is what he said. He said, we're going to blow the doors off this thing. And they took that as a terrorist threat. Okay. He didn't mean it in a, you know, in a way that he was going to bomb anything. Okay. But they used his words against him to say that he was a terrorist and that, you know, we got to shut him down. So
Now I know Tommy Robinson has his own thing going on, but I wonder if Tommy Robinson knows about these children.
You know what? I wonder if he does too. There's some journalist over there, like I think about maybe Paul Joseph Watson or somebody like that. I think they don't know enough about this case and they discounted it as hoax. Right. I wish somebody like that would get on it. And it kind of makes me a little suspicious, like, you know, people are afraid. People have been warned and they've been threatened to not talk about this case. So I could be wrong, and I don't want to make that accusation about Paul. I think he does good work, but you know, I'm like, come on, dude, you got to just watch the video. That's all we're asking anybody to do. Watch the video in America, in the UK, watch the video of the children. And you can tell when they use their hands and they're describing how they were forced to cut the baby's head off, when they're describing the room, when they're describing the stall, the handicap stall that they were taken into and where they were abused in that stall at a pool, and then on and on and on. You know, you can tell these kids have been there. They've experienced these things. Watch the testimonies for yourself. If you live in the UK, find a way to see these videos. They're trying to block you. The government's trying to stop these videos from being shown.
I'll make DVDs and mail them for free over to the UK. But you know, yes. It would even be more of a travesty if they were coaxed to lie and be forced to talk about these, you know, plastic willies, and it would do more harm. Well, not really, it wouldn't do more harm, but Did anyone ever look into the mom? You interviewed the mother, didn't you?
I did interview the mother it's been almost 2 years ago now. And here's the thing, the mother, Ella Draper, she has been completely transparent. She said, ask me anything. I'm an open book, and she's not afraid to talk about anything. She's put herself out there to talk to any podcast, anybody that wants to interview her, anything. Okay. Now, the father, on the other hand, he did one controlled interview and went into hiding. So the mother, who was accused of coaching the kids to say these things, took a polygraph test about a year ago, and she passed it. Okay.
Right.
This video is also up on the internet, and I know a polygraph test is not admissible in court, but they're still not easy to pass. Okay. You can watch the whole video. She was nervous, and I would be nervous too if I was being polygraphed, but she passed the test. They asked her just a few questions, and it was to clear her name, to show that she did not coach these kids, because that's what she was being accused of, and that's what they were going to arrest her of, and that's what the papers were saying. That's the number one thing. So she wanted to clear her name in that, and somebody from the outside came in, did the polygraph test, they documented it on video. And I'm sure, I know the other side says it was staged or whatever, but I think the video speaks for itself.
Well, you don't see the other side putting up any defense
No.
to stop people from thinking. You're absolutely correct. As Christians, the Holy Spirit gives us the discernment to discern ourselves what is real and what's not. It just makes me sick. Tom, what are some of the other projects you're working on? Are you doing any new projects?
We have all kinds of projects that we're working on. I'm kind of in between film projects right now. You mentioned before that I work with Russ Dizdar. We obviously have our YouTube channel called Through the Black, which we put out content there on a regular basis, where we do interviews. Matter of fact, I just did an interview with somebody from Ireland about the Hampstead case. That's going to be going up tonight. But we're constantly putting out material and working on new stuff. There's some big things in the works, but I can't really announce them yet because we haven't got the 100% green light on them. But I've put out several different films. I just put out a film about David Arthur, a guy who lived most of his life as a woman, as a transgender male prostitute, and he was dying on his deathbed of HIV. He reached over, picked up the Bible, began reading it, and he got up from his deathbed, and he was healed. And he's walking free, and he's an evangelist now, and he's reaching out to the people, the community that he used to be a part of. And also the film is called Fire and Brimstone, and people can go to throughtheblack.com or fireandbrimstonefilm.com, and you can see it. The film is an urgent warning about the agenda from the LGBTQP agenda that's coming after our children very aggressively.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm a filmmaker, and we're working on some stuff, some sequels and some other things that we're trying to put together. And we do a lot of mentoring and things like that. So it never gets boring around here, I will tell you that. So
on one of your websites or your Facebook, is if somebody wanted to volunteer, like I know somebody who came and helped you film or played a grip or whatever, can they sign up and help you?
Yeah, they can. I'll tell you what, we've been putting out a call for volunteers because we're trying to expand in a big, big way. And I'll tell you, some of the things that we're doing is we have a new website actually called realdarknews.com, which is just what it sounds like. It's dark news from a Christian worldview. So we talk about the paranormal, we talk about the human trafficking, we talk about abortion, all of these things. And this is something that we're trying to launch. And I drew a blank a minute ago. You asked me what projects you got going on. So we have campaigns, we have the new Resist campaign and things like that. But people can get involved. We're looking for writers. If there's anybody that's interested in writing stories for Real Dark News, we can't do this without their help. We've had many people step up. So the way that you get involved is send an email to throughtheblack.connect@outlook.com. Another thing that we're doing, Rhonda, is we are training people to do what we call freedom encounters. Okay, the days are dark. Lots of people need help, and we're training people to do deliverance, to do mentoring, to do I'm not supposed to say counseling, but to do these sort of things. Okay, especially helping people getting broken free from strongholds, from demonic attachments, things like that. We get messages all the time, and we cannot keep up with the people that need help. Sometimes it's a person who played with a Ouija board when they were a teenager. Sometimes it's somebody who moved into a house and there's something going on there. So we try the best that we can to meet all these needs and to help these people. We want to see them set free, and we know that there's only one way to do that, and that's through the authority of Christ. So, but we can't get to everybody. So we're trying to build an army of people who are trained how to do this. And we've had a ton of people sign up. So again, if you go to throughtheblack.com, I'm sorry, throughtheblack.com is the website, but throughtheblack.connect@outlook.com, and you say, hey, I want to help. I want to be a reporter on the ground. We're looking for reporters. We're looking for writers. We're looking for people who can do freedom encounters and people that can give us legal advice. You'll get an application, okay? Fill that application out, send it back to us, and we'll get you put in a spot. Through the Black is growing, and there's some really exciting things happening. We're battling human trafficking. We're battling satanic ritual abuse. We're bringing exposure. We're doing investigation. I have my own investigation team. Just amazing things are happening, and we need people to get involved. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few.
Right. What an awesome opportunity. You know, I live in New Hampshire. I live about an hour from Salem, Massachusetts. And it used to be where people thought that only Salem, you know, had the charged people. But can you see the gates of hell opening? Can you see what, you know, you can see the evil just blossoming. Isn't
Yeah,
that
you know,
everywhere, not just Salem?
it is. And we are seeing an uprising of interest in the occult and interest in Satanism like we've never seen before, especially in the last couple years since the new administration has got put in place, right, in Washington. So people are rebelling. They're rejecting this administration. So they're turning to things like Satanism. Okay, they know they can't turn to church, and they know they can't turn to God. So the Satanists are growing. They're receiving these people with open arms. These people don't even know what they're getting involved with. Okay, they're just like, you know what? I want the opposite of whatever that is. So these Satanists are very politically active. They have political power. They have financial backing, and they're challenging Christians, and they're challenging pro-life ministries, and they're joining arms with groups like Planned Parenthood all across the country. So that's why I'm saying, I say boldly, I don't care if you work with Through the Black. I could care less, but do something. You know, Rhonda, we're training people to do freedom encounters and do deliverance. But one of the things that we're saying, you know what, it would be great if you worked with us because we need your help. But if not, go back to your church and do it, because we need to train and equip people, then dispatch them wherever so we can fight these dark days. Yesterday when I was doing my show, I've never had this happen before, but I recognized demonic presence, and something showed up here, while I was doing the show. I don't say that to be sensational, but I'm just saying there is a resistance to what we're doing, and we need people that are bold, that know their authority in Christ, that know spiritual warfare to join us. Your church, that you're involved with, is probably not going to do anything about this. They're probably not going to do anything about human trafficking or satanic ritual abuse or spiritual warfare. So we're calling on people to rise up, to get involved some way, whether it's Through the Black or somewhere else. We need your help.
And Russ finally got a Facebook page. I don't know how long he's had it, but whoever is very active on there. And you can go through Shadow of the Darkness and get any training you want for free. You can buy the workbooks for next to nothing. It's crazy. And we do need training. We do need training. So if you're listening to this video, I will put all of these links and email addresses in the description, and go check it out and share about the children. Let's share it with the world. If you know somebody from the UK, you know, share it with them, and maybe they can share it over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to I want to mention again the website to share about the children, excuse me, is londonhasasecret.com. And we're using that website to expose what's going on over there. Okay. So again, one of the new campaigns, you know, because I just mentioned the rise of this this commercialized Satanism. A lot of people don't understand there's different denominations of Satanism. There's Satanists that I call LaVeyan Satanists who claim that they're atheistic and they don't believe in God or the devil. Then you have theistic Satanists who believe in the devil and they worship him. And then you have the undergrounders who don't even exist as far as they're concerned, and a lot of people are concerned. These are the guys that are doing the human sacrifices, involved with Hollywood, involved with Washington, and everywhere in between. So we have started a new campaign called the Resist campaign. And you can go to Through the Black and you can see this. But we're just asking, what does resist mean to me? It means evangelize, okay? Just share the gospel, and sooner or later, you're going to run into somebody that needs the kind of help, spiritual warfare help that you're trained to, you know, that you're trained to administer. So the core of what we do is evangelism and telling people, you know, about the love of Christ and about the healing power of Christ, the deliverance and salvation. That's the core of what we do. We do a lot of things like exposure and prayer and all these things, but the core of our message is, you know, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So guys, I'm excited about what's happening. The dark side is ramping up, but we're ramping up too. We're asking God, give us revival, strengthen us. We have got to be bold in the face of this just insanity, this darkness, this mental illness, and just say, you know what, we're not going to tolerate this. We are going to stand boldly for God and stand up against this wickedness. I was watching videos up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There are witches on the street cursing the pro-lifers. Okay, we see this. We see the Satanic Temple joining hands with Planned Parenthood to make sure that they have access to human sacrifice. That's what it is, human sacrifice. So there's nothing that you know, that this satanic culture doesn't touch. Okay, it's at the core of the LGBTQP agenda to sexualize our children. It's at the core of the fight to keep human sacrifice legal, and so many other things. It's going after, you know, it's obviously infiltrated and controls Hollywood and politics, and we see this. So guys, do you believe in God? Don't count on the guy sitting next to you in the pew to do this. We've got to stand up. We've got to be bold.
You know, and also Satanism they've joined hands with big money. Everywhere my grandson and I go, we went to a big name bookstore, which I don't want to get in trouble by saying. And he said, are you interested in buying some Lego figures that, you know, teach Harry Potter spells? And I'm like, no, that's okay. And you go into Walmart and you see wands and books and spells and chalices and just the whole, you can just see it. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you can see it all. And it's quite frightening. I mean, I've had my experience where I tried to cast out a demon. I don't know if the guy had a demon or not. He sure acted like it, and it didn't work. And I went home and I got on my knees and I said, God, I said, this isn't for me. And it was almost as if the Lord said to my heart that that's what the enemy wants. He wants to discourage you. He wants to discourage you to think that you can't do that, you know? And Jesus said,
no,
maybe you got to fast and pray. But it is.
Well, you're absolutely right. I agree.
You got to fast and pray. Wow, I am so blessed. I met Tom at the Age of Deception conference back in March at Pastor Langford's conference in North Carolina, and yeah, those are awesome. And
I want to, you asked what else was going on. I did want to take a chance to mention, speaking of conferences, I'm working with Russ Dizdar. We're doing the International Conference on Satanic Ritual Abuse. And
That's
this is going to
October
be a
4th.
big deal. It's going to be Russ Dizdar, Dr. Gregory Reed. It's going to be Doug Hagman is going to be there. Wilfred Wong from the UK, who the best way to describe him is he's the Russ Dizdar of the UK. Sherry Clausen from Russ Dizdar's team. Jared Cressman, my co-host, and then I'm going to be there doing presentations. This is going to be in Canton, Ohio, October 4th through the 6th. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a big deal as far as satanic ritual abuse is concerned. There's not been a conference like this, especially from a Christian worldview, this big.
Wow, that's going to need prayer in advance, huh?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
is there anything else? You can address anything you want. You're not like selling yourself here. You can.
No. You know what? I just appreciate I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and just share my heart. Again, God brought me from death to life. My life was transformed, and I am compelled to reach every single person that I possibly can. People ask me all the time, how come you're so compassionate about satanic ritual abuse? Are you a survivor? No, I'm not a survivor. I don't know why I am. I kind of just fell into this, and God has put me in a position to help people, and I want to help people. I want to expose it. I want to do as much as I can. God saved me, and I want to pass on, the gifts that he's given to me, and the grace and the compassion and everything. I want to extend that to other people and, just help as many people as we can. I don't care where they're from. I don't care what they're doing. We went to a house last week and prayed for this woman. She didn't even have a Bible in her house. And she was struggling with suicidal thoughts. And before she moved into this house, Rhonda, somebody had hung themselves in the garage. And we began to minister, and there was a very tangible demonic presence in that house. And we had to pray against it. We prayed for her. She repented, and we went out and bought her a Bible. She said, will you please pray over every room in this house? We went to every room in the house, and we prayed over it. And I tell you, that woman's life has changed. I say that only to glorify God and to praise God. That's because, right. You know what? That the authority of Christ is the only thing that works. Okay. Buddhists don't have an answer. Muslims don't have an answer. Scientologists don't have an answer. Jehovah's Witnesses don't have an answer. The authority of Christ is the only thing that works. And the ministry that we do of deliverance is a ministry of compassion. Why would we want anybody to go around tormented or to go around in chains of sin or in bondage? We don't. We want to see them set free. So we just ask, Lord, lead us to the people so we can reach them. And, and we want to teach other people to do the same thing. We need more people. So
it's called prayer mapping. Isn't that what Russ calls it?
Yeah. Prayer mapping is something that has really, it's been a game changer for me because, and the idea, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to explain it to anybody that's listening. You think of a prayer map, and this is what it is. Say you have somebody that you want to pray for. Say you want to pray for your pastor, okay? And what does that consist of? Lord, bless my pastor. Amen. Well, a prayer map, okay, this is what I would suggest you do, and you can apply it to anybody. Write your pastor's name on a piece of paper, and then you begin to list things for your pastor that you can pray for. You can pray for his health. You can pray for his safety. You can pray for all the spiritual giftings. You can pray for protection. You can pray just God use him, inspire him, move him, and you write down all those things, and then you say, Holy Spirit, what am I missing? Then the Spirit of God will give you ideas. Now you have a list of things that you can pray for your pastor on besides just saying, Lord, bless my pastor. Okay. And then you can take that and list it. And why that is a tool to help us to pray more thoroughly. When I pray, I get distracted. My mind wanders. I begin to think about things that need to be done. I begin to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow or what I did yesterday. So here, we get distracted and we don't get to finish it. We go back. Okay, where was I? Oh, I was right here. So I can just pick up and be very thorough about this. You can do that for cities. You can do that for people. You can do that for situations. It's a great tool that you can use to just be strategic and thorough in your prayer life.
Now, are you involved with a conference with Now You See TV this fall out in the woods?
There's one up on the lake that I know Now You See TV is going to be there. I wouldn't say it's out, we're actually next month in August, we're going to be at the Take on the World conference up in on the lake. So, and I know John Pounders will be there.
Yeah, we have a lot of, Steve's channel has a lot of Now You See TV listeners.
Yeah.
Wow, what a blessing. What a blessing. See, God uses your look. He uses the long hair, the goatee. He uses, he does. He uses it because you're approachable. You're not a clean Jehovah's Witness with a white shirt buttoned up with a tie and a jacket.
You know what? Whatever. I'll be a fool for the Lord. I don't care. Let him use me any way he can. I told people yesterday, I'm not a scholar. If you want a scholar, I give them a list of places they can go to. I read the Bible and it changes me, and then I just try to give that to somebody else. So
can you see a critical spirit has fallen on God's people?
There is.
Certain
I mean, there's a lot of go ahead.
In certain situations.
Sure. And I've dealt with it for a really, really long time. And that fight is kind of so far in the past with me. I don't even worry about it really. But I have the people that are listeners of our channel are so gracious. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they've been so generous and kind to me, and said such good things. I'm like, you know what? I learned really a long time ago that everything is good, as far as testimony wise, to reach somebody. Sometimes I used to do podcasts years ago and I'm like, oh man, that was a bad one. That was a bad one. And then no kidding, I'll get an email and be like, man, you don't know how much that meant to me. That really spoke to me. So there's no really such thing as a bad speaker. You take a look at Moses was afraid because he stuttered and he opened up his mouth and God used him, So I am by far, I have no business doing what I'm doing. I never wanted to do this. I always wanted to stay behind the camera. I'm a filmmaker, but for some reason here I am in front of the camera. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to try to be myself. I can't be anybody else.
That's right.
So I do see the judgment, and I don't have time for that really, because there's just too many lost people. So I agree that the judgment is out there, and we'll just let them people argue amongst themselves while we do ministry.
So you've given us a bunch of tools today that I'm going to put in the description down below for us to learn. Russ certainly has a plethora of tools for us to learn. And Thomas, thank you so much. I am so blessed that you did this. Because Steve, he has his Q Files 2.0, where he's now gone behind the scenes because we're tired of being censored. He and I both. And here's 150,000 people that I don't want to just shut the channel down, that these are some really awesome people. So I'm trying to do an interview here and there to not entertain them, but to help them grow. And you were on my list.
Well, thank you so much, Rhonda, for the opportunity.
Maybe
I'm
we'll
just
see
so
you in
humbled.
Ohio.
Yeah, please. I want to.
With the Hagmans. Well, thank you very much. And everybody, this is Tom Dunn from Through the Black and London Has a Secret and the Resist campaign. And he also does many other things. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you.